An Ohio residential purchase agreement is a legally binding contract between the buyer and the seller of a home. It outlines in writing all of the agreed upon terms and conditions of the transaction, such as the purchase price, the financing terms, closing date, and more. In this video, we'll cover how a residential purchase agreement works, the legal requirements in Ohio, and what you need to create one. We're eForms, the biggest online database for legal documents. Stick around and we'll tell you where you can find an official residential purchase agreement specific to Ohio. First, let's review. How does a residential purchase agreement exactly work? When a prospective buyer is interested in making an offer on a house, they must present a residential purchase agreement to the seller, stating how much the buyer is willing to pay for it, how it will be financed, what contingencies must be met before closing the deal, and more. After reviewing the offer, the seller may accept, reject, or make a counteroffer. It typically takes some negotiation between the buyer and the seller to agree on all parts of the contract. Once an agreement is met, both parties sign the document, making it legally bound. This means that the agreement can only be terminated if both parties agree to it or if a contractual contingency or legal requirement is not met. So, what are the legal requirements in Ohio? The seller must provide a property disclosure statement that details any material defects on the property. This must be provided to the prospective buyer prior to signing the agreement. If the property disclosure is provided after the agreement goes into effect, the buyer may be eligible to rescind their offer and cancel the purchase agreement. In addition, under federal law, the seller must provide a disclosure about lead-based paint exposure if the residence was built before 1978. Now that we know more about how a residential purchase agreement works and what is legally required, here are some things that you should do to make sure the process goes soundly. Include a mortgage pre-approval letter. A mortgage pre-approval letter is a document from the bank estimating how much it is willing to lend to the buyer based on their credit history, income, debts, and assets. This helps the seller determine whether the buyer is financially credible. Offer an earnest money deposit. An earnest money deposit is a percentage of the offer and provided to the seller as a show of good faith. It is written into the residential purchase agreement and typically delivered when the agreement is signed. Use an addendum to modify or add to the agreement. An addendum is often included with a residential purchase agreement to add to or amend any terms and conditions. It can also detail a contingency which allows either party to opt out of the contract if certain terms are not met. If you're in need of an official Ohio residential purchase agreement, you can get started by clicking the link right here. Hit that subscribe button as well for more videos that help simplify the legal process for everything ranging from buying or selling a house to making a will.